I'll just give a quick update on the most important recent things that are happening, just to see if there's any people who want to respond. I would like to hear your commentary in the community regarding the latest updates. The most important new update that we have is that we have a new name for the upcoming attacks against the Islamic Republic. The fact that we have a name for it increases the chances that it will happen. Maybe that's what I think. So they're calling it Sledgehammer. Sledgehammer, Operation Sledgehammer. So let me go through this update. The US military is considering renaming the war with Iran Operation Sledgehammer if the ceasefire collapses, which seems like it might because they're naming it, right? If the ceasefire collapses and President Donald Trump decides to restart major combat operations, NBC News reported, citing two officials, any new military combat operations against Iran would be conducted under a new name and operation, the report said, citing a White House official familiar with the discussions. From the administration's point of view, the new operation name would effectively restart the 60-day clock requiring congressional authorization for war, the report added. So they think the whole War Powers Act is unconstitutional, but in case you wanted to use it, we have a new name. You can't argue with that. If we change the name, then the 60-day clock does not apply anymore, right? Operation Sledgehammer is not the only name under consider. Oh, they have other names. Okay, they're going through names. Okay, that's not the only name under consideration. The report said, citing unnamed U.S. officials. So that was a big update. Another major big update that we have is that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited the UAE. Dude, guys, this is a historical turning point. This is a civilizational change. This is an end of an era and the beginning of a new one. Okay, where like UAE President and Prime Minister Netanyahu going to the UAE, meeting as major allies with one of the most important Arab countries in the world and around the Persian Gulf. This is completely changes the dynamic. We already been moving towards this, but the fact that Netanyahu is going to the UAE to meet up with a major ally is big. It's big news. Okay. So he visited the UAE during Iran war and met with Emirati President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, otherwise known as MBZ. His office said on Wednesday, guys, this is going to, when this happens, it's going to be a historical breakthrough. Like this is going to be reported like this is the end of the ummah. This is the end of pan-Islamism, and pan-Arabism has been dead for a while, but this is the official end to pan-Islamism in the same way. It, by the way, guys, this is confirms that in the same way that Israel killed pan-Arabism years ago, Israel is also responsible for killing pan-Islamism. The end of the Ummah, the end of the delusion of an Islamic empire. When we have Arab countries considering Israel as a major ally, that means that old alliances are dead and we have new ones, not based on ethnicity or religion, but based on prosperity, based on stability, based on economic cooperation and military cooperation, trade and commerce. And then we had, all right, let's go here. So another major topic that everybody's talking about is President Trump going to China and what the discussions are going to be about: oil, AI, Taiwan, Iran. All right, everybody is predicting what the conversations are about. President Trump says that we might not even talk about Iran because I have this all thing under control. That's what he said. That's what President Trump said. So we'll see. And yeah, so these are the major updates. One major update that I think we should talk about is that the Islamic Republic executed Ehsan Afrashte. So when the name is in English, it's hard for me to read. The name is, if it's in Persian, it's easier to read. Ehsan Afrashte on Wednesday, So the reason why I want to mention this is because we have to remember that the executions continue, and he was executed on accusations of espionage and intelligence cooperation with Israel. Obviously, most of these accusations are fake. The vast majority of them are fake. But the ones that are, even if it was true, that would make him a hero. He is already a hero, but it would make him, obviously, working with Israel is not a crime. But most of these are fake, right? Afrashta was arrested in early 2024. So this was with the Massa uprising that we had before. But the reason why they execute them now, even though they arrested them earlier 2 years ago, is because the Islamic Republic arrests these people and holds them for execution when they fear an uprising. So when you see a pickup in execution by the Islamic Republic, is because the Islamic Republic has access to information that shows that the chances of an uprising is increasing, and it's used as a method to increase fear among the population. But that's the plan. The Islamic Republic tries to increase fear, but the only thing it does is that it increases anger instead, and it usually increases the chances of an uprising instead of reducing it. One thing I want to say is that I got a message from one of my friends that I haven't been hearing about from inside Iran for a very long time. One of my closest friends in Iran, he messaged me and he gave me two updates, one that is bad and one that is good. um Somebody in the chat, in the YouTube chat, is saying boring. Are you saying boring when I'm reading the news about the execution of an Iranian inside Iran? That's what you're saying boring too? And it shows where you're saying what kind of a person you are. Anyways, the message that I got from my friend in Iran, which is one of my closest friends in Iran, the bad news is that he told me that the economic situation is devastating, is worse than many people understand, and he's noticing the effects of it everywhere. So that's the bad news he gave me. The good news that he gave me is that he's noticing that more people are going back into fighting mode, and they are going back into getting ready and motivated for the next uprising. So that's what those are the two pieces of that's what he's noticing. And this is one of my friends that I really trust in Iran, and I also not just trust his information. He's also a very smart friend of mine, and he has been so correct about many things so far. So those are the two informations that I got directly from one of my close friends that I haven't been hearing from inside Iran for a while. So I was happy that he was okay. And I just wanted to pass on that information to you guys. All right. So let's go with the people who put the two in the chat and wanted to respond.
Okay, first up to respond, we have Sketch.
I would like to comment on the significance of a name change very astutely and very intelligently. Jeffrey pointed out that this is a Peter Gabriel song, and the lyrics make it very funny. But aside from that, I would like to point out that this would be playing footsie with, oh, we're extending, we're not extending. We need congressional approval. We don't need congressional approval because it's a new name. This is post ceasefire that ended. We had a ceasefire. This is a whole new thing, right? So that this may be a continuation. We don't even need War Powers Act, but we don't even need their permission. But if we did need them, this is a completely different thing. So we still have another 90 days, right? 60 in, 30 out. So I would frame this naming of an operation within that. And I would also make the case that Project Freedom, as a humanitarian endeavor, would have a completely different classification. So, as far as legally, I think there's a lot of irons in the fire so that they have leeway and permission to have different kinds of operations. That's how I would frame that.
Yes. And what do you think about, do you think the fact that they're thinking about naming it also significantly increases the chances that it's going to happen?
Absolutely. Absolutely, the naming of it, the putting it in the you know how some legal things, when you make a corporation, when you do certain things, part of the legal steps you have to take is announcing it. I would put this as part of the legal steps that they have to take in announcing it. I believe they will also brief the congressional, the appropriate congressional and senatorial body that they need to update. But I believe naming it and announcing it is part of the legalese that they have to go through.
Okay. Okay. All right. Who's next?
Next to respond, we have Jose.
No, I just want to remind you something that you did forget. First of all, Kuwait because of the capture, is actually going to combat alliance. So that makes four. And I believe yesterday we all found out that the Saudis had a little piece to say in it too. So that's three Arab countries, the United States and Israel, all as one so far. I say so far because we don't know what the rest are going to do. And because of Saudi and Pakistan being supposed allies, they might have some issues in Pakistan. That's it. I'm done.
We did discuss the Kuwait and Saudi Arabia update. Yes, actually, that's a very important update as well. We have now news from Reuters that not only the UAE had earlier attacked the Lavon Island in Iran against the Islamic Republic, but Saudi Arabia has also attacked the Islamic Republic without announcing it or without making it public that they had done so. So Reuters, and guys, this is very historic. This means that we can never get back to normal situation. There is no going back. This means that if UAE and Saudi Arabia have taken military actions against the Islamic Republic, that the situation in the Persian Gulf and around this region will forever be tense and unstable for as long as the Islamic Republic is around. There is no going back to normal. So one way or another, the Islamic Republic has to go if you want stability in the region, because these are basically, they're not just tensions between Saudi Arabia and UAE on one side and the Islamic Republic. These countries are at war, officially at war against each other. With regards to Kuwait, we got an update from Kuwait, which is actually pathetic because let me tell you what happened. So Kuwait has accused the Islamic Republic of attempting. So it says Iran, but I always try to read it. You know what? I'm just going to read it as is because some new people here might not understand what we're talking about. Okay. So, but whenever I'm reading these, when I say Iran, you guys just understand we're talking about the Islamic Republic. Okay. So Kuwait has accused Iran of attempting a failed attack on Bubian, and I'm not kidding, that's the name of the island, Bubian Island, which hosts a China funded port project. Kuwait has formally summoned the Iranian ambassador and delivered a strong protest note after a group of IRGC terrorists infiltrated Bubian Island, a highly strategic Kuwait territory. 4 suspects were arrested and 2 escaped. According to local media reports, it was a sabotage force. So, guys, I'm hearing that the Islamic Republic is trying to do a sort of a ground attack on Kuwait. I don't know if that is true or not, but it would make sense because the Islamic Republic is failing to show any form of strength, any form of devastation upon its enemies to its regime supporters. One of the many reasons why they keep attacking Dubai in the UAE is because they want to show their regime supporters that they're actually able to inflict damage on their enemies. Given that they can't do that on the US bases and Israelis, the UAE is a better target for them. But even with the UAE, they haven't been that successful. So some form of an attack on Kuwait might be a desperate way for them to show to the regime supporters that they are doing something at least. But here's why this is so pathetic. Because this is an act of war. This is a declaration of war against Kuwait. And look at what Kuwait did in response. Not only they did not attack, not only they did not do anything remotely close to what the UAE and Saudi Arabia is doing, which is already too small, they didn't even kick out the ambassador. So they still have an embassy and they still have an ambassador. Look at this. This is the response. Kuwait has formally summoned, oh no, the Iranian ambassador and delivered a strong protest note. That is pathetic. That is pathetic. I think Kuwait needs to do more. We'll see. We also had some updates with regards to Bahrain kicking out a whole bunch of people, arresting and kicking out a whole bunch of people from with ties to the Islamic Republic. So that was also the case. So we'll see if Kuwait actually grows a pair and does something more significant. But thank you for reminding us about that.
Okay, we have Jeffrey next.
Yo, I just gotta Armin, you gotta play that song in honor of Operation Sledgehammer. Like I said, if Donald pulls that trigger, the amount of muscle that's there now is not, it's gonna make it the round two make round one look like a day at Disneyland. They've set up their force posture and structure so that they can very much maintain a much higher, much more intense air campaign than what you've seen in Operation Epic Fury. There's a reason you're seeing a lot of pictures of heavy strike like bombers and stuff. B-1s, B-52s, B-2s. That is a lot of muscle that's going to go down and hammer the living shit out of the regime remnants. I can't tell you. Dude, you got to play at least a clip of that.
Well, I can because it is copyrighted, but guys, go listen to it. Go listen to it. But thank you for the suggestion. All right. Thank you, Jeff. I hope you're right. My God, that would be so epic if they do that. All right, BT. Sorry.
That's okay. I have it on good authority that the IRGC and Kuwait actually are fighting because the IRGC prefers their women before their boobies are on. Next.
Okay. All right. Thank you, BT. All right. Sorry. I'll stop. Who is next?
Sketch.
Sketch. Okay.
I wanted to comment on Kuwait. Sometimes keeping an ambassador, even if you can't arrest the other people, is good because you can spy on him. One of the main points of espionage from another country and to another country is through their diplomats. If that guy has to call, we can trace that call. I'm not saying it's a good thing to keep him. I'm just putting a bright side on it. I do agree with what you're saying.
Okay, man, that's interesting. I didn't consider it. Thank you for adding that. This is why you guys are here, okay? You guys have so many interesting points that makes this whole thing a lot more complete. So thank you for that.